He was a genius who left an indelible mark on France. As Louis XV's military architect-engineer, Vauban set about designing his so-called Ring of Iron to defend the country. 100 citadels, all equally impressive. A heritage as majestic as it is hard to maintain. And notably in Besançon, where the master outdid himself in protecting this particularly exposed enclave town.
We're now in the heart of the construction.
It's at the town's Palace of Justice that visitors are given an idea of the scale of the architect's work.
These are Vauban's fortifications surrounding the town, and on the higher ground, the characteristic star shape.
And to protect the walled town, Vauban placed 6 forts on the surrounding uplands.
The Fort des Trois Têtes is the largest in the 18th century barrier and 1.5 times the size of the upper town.
At a height of 1,450 meters is the Fort des Trois Têtes, the keystone of the system of defenses. This man is its custodian. The fort overlooks the town, so the defenders could observe the enemy while being protected by the surrounding forts.
Gunfire from Les Salettes fort over there could reach us here at Les Trois Têtes, which in turn covered the chateau, which covered the fort, which covered the city, and so on.
For just over a decade, these buildings have been unoccupied. Since 2009, when the army left Besançon, the town's defense system has been left abandoned.
The army leaving Besançon was hard to take because the town had been a garrison town for more than 300 years, between 1692 and 2009. And since Vauban, there was a military tradition here which meant that you were born, you lived, and you died to the sound of the bugle.
While this gemstone of heritage is sadly abandoned, 400 kilometers to the north, the citadel of Besançon is as busy as ever. Here, Vauban built one of the biggest strongholds in Europe on a rocky spur overlooking the town. Since 2008, the citadel has been a listed UNESCO World Heritage Site. Every year, it welcomes 250,000 visitors.
I've come here with my 5-year-old goddaughter, and I told her, look around a bit at all the construction. This was all built 400 years ago. It's just amazing.
The citadel and its stones, its old stones. Honestly, the older I get, the more I appreciate old stones.
The citadel's history is inextricably linked to that of its architect, embodied by this actor for the tourists.
Good day, children. Sébastien Leprestre, Marquis de Vauban, Commissioner for the King's Fortifications. All that you see here in Besançon, this citadel is me.
And Vauban had a right to be proud, because his citadel, built in the late 17th century, is an exceptional construction. His aim was to make Besançon the French kingdom's eastern bastion. So he designed a fortress, the construction of which would last for 30 years.
I fortified the town of Besançon on 3 levels. First, Fort Griffon, then the walls along the bend in the River Doubs, and finally the citadel to cover the entire place.
Ramparts 20 meters high and 5 meters thick, and all around, guardhouses and watch turrets to observe the enemy. In the 17th century, the citadel was impregnable, because Vauban had planned for everything, except perhaps the wear and tear of time and weather. The citadel is a non-stop maintenance site, partly financed by the growing number of visitors.
With the harsh weather here in the past 300 years, the stone became frost-shattered. Look at the state of it. So we're removing all the exterior stone and mortar and keeping just the inside, which is still healthy.
For this tower alone, no fewer than 40 cubic meters of stone need replacing. The citadel's new stones come from these huge blocks of sandstone quarried in Isère. A stone almost as hard as granite, which is sawn prior to cutting. Between 5 and 10 stone cutters work here permanently. They're cutting exact copies of the stones removed from the fortress's walls.
How long do you spend on each stone?
For this one, with more carving needed, almost a whole day.
Here's a wall identically reconstructed with about 80% new stone. All the old stones have been replaced by copies, which were drawn and cut identically. It lasted 300 years, and now we've redone it for the next 300.
Although Vauban's constructions no longer serve a military purpose, they continue to bear witness to one of the greatest architect-engineers in French history.